Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast of three brothers trying to figure it all out, with your hosts, Brandon, Collin, and Aaron. On this week's show, sandwich eggs. Hello.
Ahoy.
Hello. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Hello.
How's it going? Uh-oh.
No.
Collin can't hear me.
Well, this is fun. Literally cannot hear. Keep talking.
Yes. I am still here.
It's you.
It is I.
You are here. It's so wonderful. Okay.
Yes.
I have two of the most precious children in the whole world. Hi, kids. Sometimes they play in the office. And this does mean that from time to time, buttons get touched.
Oh no, not buttons.
Yeah, and Daddy has to reset everything. So we're doing well. We're well.
Yeah.
Good.
You should probably take, once all the buttons are set and all the dials are turned, you ought probably take a picture of what they're supposed to be like.
Oh,
so that before you start, you can just reference, be like, has a child touched these? Why, yes, they have. Oh no.
Is that part of my pre-flight checklist? Yeah, for sure. Because especially the gain here, I've got a little gain knobby do, and I don't.
Oh yeah,
it's weird. So
definitely that one.
Yeah.
Definitely check out that one. That's a rough one.
I didn't get to it before I had to record the other podcast, and my levels were all over the place, and I was like, I have to get this done in 20 minutes. So it was rapid fire. I was doing mic tech, I was distancing from the mic and changing position just to get approximately to sounding somewhat okay.
Oh no.
It was the adventures. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're good. We're hoorah. Good to go.
Hooray.
So yeah. And recording back in the studio this time. So hopefully it sounds a lot better. Other than the weird cavern that I was in last time.
There's not intense low clouds, so maybe my internet might be better. Knock on wood. Hopefully that's going to be a thing. I think that was a problem last time. It's it was so densely cloudy last week, and we have wireless internet or whatever. So I think it was.
Yeah.
No.
Low cloud coverage. That's part of your pre-flight checklist. That is to check the cloud cover.
Yeah, but I can't do anything about it. Since I'm go away.
Could turn on your fan.
Yeah, it's probably not how. I don't think that's how that works.
It's it's plain.
It's true. So,
but well, good. Airman, what are you up to?
Oh, just got done game planning, had dinner, cleaned a little bit. We got a pretty big football game tomorrow, so just kind of getting settled up for that. And then next week, if we win next week, we'll be in the playoffs, which will be the first time in a while for my school. So kind of an important next few games.
Obviously all due to your assistant coaching abilities. So good job.
Good job.
That's I'll take that.
This is what we can conclude. They haven't been this good in a while.
Mm-hmm.
This is your first time there. Clearly it's because of you.
Hearing some of the kids talk about some of the things the coaches did last year, I was like, what, have these guys ever coached before? So it's these kids have never had true coaching. So it's kind of nice to feel that.
Nice.
But no, spend some time cleaning up the baseball and softball field, getting ready for that after basketball season. Last week went to did we go anywhere Saturday? Went and watched Halloween. The new Michael Myers movie,
the Halloween 75,
Halloween Evil or something.
I don't remember. Yes,
Michael Myers is pretty dope. The rest of the cast is not. It is a jumbled mess of like I get horror movie tropes, but this oh my gosh, we need to find him. Evil must die tonight. I must go in alone. Why? So
true.
There was a lot of that. But Michael Myers was him himself as a murderer. It's been a while since I've actually seen one of his movies, and just getting a chance to see how he did things, the way some people died. It's it's not scary by any means. It's just more that's a little bit more gruesome than anticipated. But I want to go see Dune, the new movie, which we were going to go see Saturday, but we were going to go to OSU's homecoming Saturday because my friend, who is the assistant coach at the same school, well, we became friends. We teach and coach at the same school. His family are all big time coaches in the Tulsa area, and so they have to hook up with some box suites at OSU. And they're like, "Oh, we can't go. Do you guys want them?" And him and his wife are like, "Yes." Oh, let's invite Aaron and Shelby. So we are going to OSU's homecoming Saturday.
Yeah. So of course Aaron was like, "Oh no! Well, oh dear! Yeah. Whatever."
So we're gonna go. So sorry. And sit in the box suites with an all-you-can-eat buffet. Yep. And yeah, I haven't been to a legit OSU homecoming in a long time because the last several. When I was there, I had to work.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, being a bartender and or cheese fry runner at Eskimo Joe's. Shout out. And so I was like, I haven't been to an OSU game since I left, or since I was in school. And then I just never went back to a game. So this will be perfect. So that's what we'll be doing Saturday. And when you texted yesterday, it's like, oh, will Saturday work? I was like, no, cannot. No. I'm not missing box suites.
So. Be yelling at people wearing orange. Rah, rah.
So that's what I'll be doing.
Nice.
Saturday. It's been a very easy week school wise because we had a test. But then half my kids were not half, but a good chunk of them had to be quarantined, and so I was like, well, I got to grade these. You guys just want to watch movies until I get them done graded? So we watched Halloween-themed films, and then tomorrow we're going to do a Halloween-themed lesson talking about cryptids and cryptozoology and folklore and stuff like that. Since I am doing U.S. history and geography, so kind of.
There you go. Perfect.
So
spooky Oklahoma. Boom.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we have the Lake 10 Killer octopus.
And the excuse me.
You're welcome.
I don't. Now we've done a podcast episode about cryptozoology.
Yes. I believe it was 1 year ago, last Halloween.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I am hearing about an octopus killer. You have a killer octopus? What?
No.
This is new. New information has come to light.
It really should come to light, man.
So it's the Oklahoma octopus, and in several lakes in Oklahoma, which are all man-made, by the way. And particularly, there's a lake called Lake 10 Killer. That is the name, Lake 10 Killer.
10 Killer. Is
it 10 or 10?
10 TEN Killer.
That's 10.
So okay. Can we get? We need Nope. I want to know why it's called 10 Killer. What's happened here?
Is this my class? I'm sorry. You're being really rude in my class. The principal will see you. So, Lake 10 Killer, there is a reported sightings of octopus and people emerging from the water with tentacle-like suction rings on their legs, indicating that there is some sort of octopus or octopi critter in some in some of these aquatic regions in Oklahoma. it's kind of like the thing where there was like piranha in Lake of the Ozark. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like it's possible, but they're saltwater. So, but yes, in Ann Lake somewhere, the most northerly known as Lake Tin Killer, there is an octopus creature. Ooh, cryptid wiki. Hold on here.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah,
Lake Tin Killer octopus. I was very distracted by why is it called Lake Tin Killer?
Okay,
what has happened here? No, I have not.
No, the Ten Keller family were prominent Cherokees who owned the land and ferry that were bought for the project.
Ah,
okay. So it was named after them because they had the land there at the ferry.
Oh, so it's Lake Thunderbird, Ulagal Lake, which is actually right down the road from where I live, and then Lake Tin Killer, where it attacks and kills unsuspecting swimmers. There is no existing footage of it. Evidence,
yes.
Explanations, habitat description, diet, controversy, and popular media. So yes, there is an 8-legged armed critter in So I'm going to talk to some of the kids about stuff like that and kind of understanding the difference of history of folklore and how it's kind of in mainstream. Mostly just kind of for a little fun lesson because some of these kids have never heard of anything like this. So that's what I plan on doing. And then Friday football game, and then boom, homecoming, and then film on Sunday, and possibly mowing if it stops raining.
Interesting. So I am apparently okay. Never mind. I was reading about something else. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm skeptical of octopus, cephalopods in fresh water. Perhaps lamprey. Yeah, those can be in fresh water.
You could do the freshwater lamprey.
Yeah, and they have.
Hold on.
They have
what lamprey looks like.
They're like weird eels that have round circular disc suckers on their face.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they would leave a similar wound on that.
But
and they're also extra creepy and slimy and gross. So not less terrifying, really.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
There are freshwater lamprey. But they're in the Great Lakes. There's only
they're like Great Lakes and in the Northeast, I think, right?
Yeah.
But maybe someone threw some in a lake.
In Oklahoma.
It's happened before.
It happens all the time, as we know.
That's true.
Does it happen all the time?
That's why it does happen all the time. That's why there's snakeheads in Minnesota or whatever. And in the DC area. It's here's just snakeheads, fish everywhere, eating everything.
Well,
literally in sight. And Missouri too, actually. Come to think of it. Mm-hmm. I believe there are snakeheads in Missouri. Yes? True.
There
you go.
Yeah.
Definitely not native fish species. We'll back up slightly just because it is topical for the spooky season. But I would like to agree with Aaron that back to the Halloween conversation, right? I have not seen a Halloween movie in a long time. I've seen the first couple and then I got bored. Not really a slasher movie enthusiast,
Yeah.
I feel like as far as scary movies, they're the worst in my opinion. Right? Because just this guy gets stabbed. Okay. I think there's some other, I don't know. I've seen more interesting ones. I just never was a big fan of the slashery kind of genre, just in general. So I don't know. Collin, do you have opinions on slasher movies?
Yeah, I too have not seen Halloween, like a true Halloween film in a very long time. Maybe that should be a challenge for us. Watch all the Mike Meyer Halloween films back to
There's
back.
like 20.
I know. Think how much content we'll have. No, we'd like after the first one, we'd be like, well, anyway. No, I'm not a big fan of the slasher either because like the jump scares, because that's to me like a slasher film is based almost purely on jump scares, and it just loses it after a while because it's so not real, and I get really taken out of the film very easily in those slasher kind of films because I don't know. It's like I'm like, okay, if you really wanted to like freak me out, like I'd go watch a real murder mystery or something because everything that happens, like Aaron said, of like, oh no, murder on the loose, I'll go check that out all by myself. It's like, no, A, you wouldn't do that, and B, nobody murders people in this way, so it's just completely ridiculous, and I'm not scared, and I get bored, so I move on to other things.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel the same way. I just never. I mean, there's some that are kind of, I don't know, like I don't know. I feel like also it's a genre, in my opinion, that has been really overdone. And there are like obviously a couple movies that stand out as like pretty good, but they're kind of like the pioneering ones, right? Like the first Halloween, like the first Friday the 13th,
Yeah.
Like, those movies are pretty cool. They stand up pretty well, I would say. Even now. These are movies made in the 80s, right? But like, or maybe even earlier, I think in late 70s, 80s, right? But it's a thing where it's like the early ones I think are pretty good. They're kind of interesting. Because they're new, they're kind of groundbreaking in that way. And then like a lot of other ones just go, oh, we can do that too. And then they just sort of try to like Aaron said, like ramp up the murdering in new and creative ways. And so the thrill comes from like the unexpected surprise of how somebody becomes killed, but not necessarily from anything else.
Well, these things become tropes pretty easily because formulaically you're like, oh, this isn't that hard. They're scary, mysterious person running around stabbing people. But like actually to be done really well.
Yeah. And there are definitely movies that do it well. And then there are other movies that do it badly, like all tropes, right? And I can definitely see where a person would enjoy it, right? I'm not saying that nobody should enjoy this, right? I want that to be clear because I feel like I sound like that sometimes, right? Like, but I feel like I get why people would do it. It's just not for me, Yeah. I don't know. Aaron, do you have any other thoughts?
I mean, like I get why people are into it. Some people. What's his name? Movie director, Rob Zombie. That kind of like mixture of like horror, but like really weird. I know there's like a big like not market, but like cult following for stuff like that. These last few movies, especially with the Michael Myers series. It just it felt like it's been running on fumes of where it's like, oh, people still want to come see slasher films, so just pump out what we can. And that's kind of why there were so many Jason movies.
That's true. They're also very cheap to make.
Yeah,
right. That's what originally one of the first films that was shot like that. Where it was really, really cheap. I don't know. It's one of those first ones that came out like that, or at least it was in that same time frame where you had several coming out.
Yeah. And so like a lot of films like that, they're easy to make. You can pump out a lot of them and people will go. There'll always be some sort of market for it. I never liked any of like the Scream series.
Oh yeah. I forgot
like
about them.
Things like that. The only kind of movie that I watched, but not like all of them, was the Jason series, which is the Friday the 13th series. I maybe watched like the second and third one at best, but I kind of liked that vibe of, but it kind of was also copy and paste of like, oh, there's a big silent murdery person and chase after you, and oh look, here's a big silent murdery person chasing after you, and oh look, there's a big silent murdery person chasing after you.
Yeah.
Those movies kind of became meh. I'm not a big horror movie person. When Paranormal Activities came out, I didn't want to see it. We watched the movie last year. It's a horror movie called Hereditary. Yo, that was freaky. But again, I don't do well with horror movies because it's either a super predictable or it's just like, oh, I can let my guard down and that my heart's racing. So I'm just not a big fan of those. The Halloween movies that or the Halloween movie singular that we've been watching in class is Paranorman, that clay animation movie. Yeah. It's actually really good. It's actually got a really good story to it. It's got a really good plot, and it's got a really interesting twist, and it's not like a typical horror movie. It's it plays off of that that theme and everything, and so it just takes a different twist and kind of has a happy ending. And so I like things like that where it's Halloween based, but it's not the normal Hocus Pocus. Love that, even though that's more kids Halloween. But as far as slasher, I mean, it just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah. Quick side note here. The original Halloween movie with Mike Myers came out in 1978. Was written in 2 weeks, shot for less than 20 days, and was done with $320,000.
Well, there you go.
Wow. And the modern one was, I think, also written in a month, and then had a budget of only $20 million when most films are 60 and up. So still, shockingly low budget.
What was the series with Bruce Campbell, Evil Dead?
Yeah, Evil Dead.
That was shot with $20, maybe.
It feels like it. Now that's going to get us some hate, but because a lot of people like that movie. But
but
Jeez, thanks, Aaron.
Series,
opens up that.
I do remember. I can't remember what year, but when the Blair Witch Project came out.
Oh man, that's a whole different animal.
Yeah,
right?
That's
that was a big game changer, and that freaked me out for the longest time. Mostly because growing up with woods around us never really put me at ease. So
true.
But yeah, that I felt like that was a fun one. So
that movie is gets bonus points. The Blair Witch Project movie, because when that come out 98, 99, 2000, somewhere in there, 99, 2000 maybe. Yeah. I feel like that might be right. That movie is weird because
99.
Was it 99? Okay, that's kind of what I felt like. I felt like that was right. There's a whole weird deal with that movie that it when it came out, if you weren't really aware, right? It was kind of weird because it was marketed to you as a legitimately true story.
Yeah. Found footage, right? Yeah.
Found footage. So it was oh yeah, no, this is real. And so 1998, we're talking the baby internet, you know?
Yes, I have.
And so the website and all the stuff was no, it's just it was so ambiguous, on purpose, that a lot of people were really questioning well, is this actually real? And I know that's the whole purpose of the found footage genre, but they pulled it off to a level that's just astounding, right? Yeah. And it's just kind of the right place, right time kind of scenario, because you couldn't do that today, right? But with baby internet, you get that was the whole deal, and it worked, man, because people ate that up, and it was a huge cultural thing for a little bit,
Yeah, I mean, they really did everything they could to kind of merge the old and new ways. I very vividly remember the web presence that it had, even kind of stumbling across things even years later and looking at it and knowing that like the marketing they did behind that with like the quality of photos that they would leave around, or even some members of the production crew went around to local college campuses and like posted missing person
of that. Yeah.
The people who were in the film.
Yeah.
And so it just became this thing of like, there were so many little moving pieces that everybody heard or knew about something different, which to me made it all the more real, because that's how actual stories moved back then. Everybody got a little piece or had information. You kind of had to build it and put it together without seeing the whole thing. So it really did a lot in the psyche as far as just like the build up to it to make it worth something that was a lot more than just the movie.
Yes, I agree. So that is just like a special like bonus of like, what on earth is happening? Yeah, I remember it was just being crazy. And I do remember like, I don't know, maybe it's because I was younger and all that stuff sort of combined. Like I was legitimately like kind of freaked out by the movie when the first time I saw it. I was like, oh my God. I don't know if it holds up. I don't know if it would still be like that, especially now that you know like all the stuff. But at the time, yeah, it's got a whole different vibe to it. So that's a different one. It's kind of like a different brand of horror movie. You know, like I said, like there are other like genres and stuff, but like the slasher one never really hit off. Some of the other ones are okay, but I guess I don't know. It's just not something that appeals to me, because I know some people like that feeling of like being scared, like it's like a rush or whatever, you know? And I just am not a person that does that. So I don't know. They just never have clicked with me for that reason, I guess. However, on the note of quote unquote scary movies that I find just the best, and they're the greatest thing of all time, are like quote scary horror movies from like the late 50s, early 60s. Oh man. These things are marvelous.
Are they wonderful?
And just for your viewing pleasure, there's like tons of them on YouTube because they're all like out of copyright or whatever. So they just exist online. So you can watch like movies like The Brain Eaters or Crab People or whatever, or like The Monster of Piedras Blancas. That's a good one. Nice. Right? Or like all these like really crazy like monstery type movies from the late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah.
There's some gems in there. Let me tell you what. They're pretty great. They're also, a lot of them are like an hour long. So just
but that's what makes it even better, right?
Yeah, they're made by like these random small studios, kind of like region, and released like regionally as part of like double features at drive-in movies, you know. And so there's like a bunch that were just made in like Texas or like the Midwest or like wherever, you know. And then they were just like double feature drive-in movies that nobody really cared about, you know. And there's so that always definitely means that there's one good one and one like one that was shown together.
Yeah. Like, oh, and there is other one.
There's another one,
which is nice.
But they do still have the exciting trope of like, no, don't worry, I'll go. Like, what? It's a giant crab monster. Why would you do that? I don't understand.
Do you know what you're doing? Because I'm going to bet you don't.
Yes, you don't have any idea. So I've seen some really great ones online. I watched them over the summer, just like randomly, because I wasn't doing anything. There are some gems in there. There's also some ones that are like, no. Like the wasp lady or whatever. That one was not so good. I can't remember the name of the one. There was one that was like in Texas, and there was like, it was some sort of like giant, like, an oversized giant thing. I don't remember what it was though. That one was pretty good. I'll have to try to see if I can dig through and find out which that one was.
Send links.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll try to do that later. I'll do some research tomorrow, this weekend, and try to send you some links because I don't remember where I found all of these. But there's a couple of YouTube channels that just like blast them up there because,
why not?
They're out of copyright, and you can watch exciting 50s horror movies. Again, it's like the monstery ones that are hilarious. Like, oh no, super secret giant blank thing that lives in the woods. It's just like an actual Gila monster. It was something about Gila monster. Yeah, it was like a giant Gila monster.
Oh,
and they did that thing where it was just like a real Gila monster, but they just filmed it differently.
Perspection?
Yeah, the forced perspective.
Yeah,
and then just
those are the best. Kind of like isn't that the original? Didn't the original Journey to the Center of the Earth do that?
I think so.
Where they took lizards and like put like they taped like horns onto them.
Yeah,
those ones. Yeah.
Oh, it's legitimately just called the giant Gila monster. I just found it.
Well, that's even better.
Here we go. It's brilliant.
Yes. Hold on. Oh man, I mean, granted, like I'm looking at this right now, okay, but we have to keep in mind. I'm sending this. I'm going to text you guys this. This is from this is a screenshot from the original. Oh no, I can't send 1959. Why can't I send this? Oh no,
I don't know.
Oh no, this is not working. This is not good. No bueno. Okay, let me copy this. Anyway, yes, where they. So yours is just called the. What was yours? The
giant Gila monster. It also has a subplot about like car dudes in it. So obviously that's brilliant, right? Like,
perfect.
It's great. Yes. Here's a picture of it like destroying the barn. Oh yeah. That's even better. I don't know what that one is you said, but that's great.
That is from the 1959 Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Ah, yes. Beautiful.
I love it so much.
Yes.
For those listening, it is a forced perspective of a I don't know, like a red painted monitor lizard that looks gigantic, and then people are sitting in looks like a golden dish, I don't know, like a teacup, and it's coming over the side towards them, and they're looking tiny and scared.
I don't know why they're in a teacup. That's a little bit weird.
I don't remember that part of the movie, but
I don't either.
I need to. Anyway.
Oh, I didn't like that one. I was going to send you a picture of this giant Gila monster thing, but it didn't like the picture I found. It was like, no, you can't use that one. Come on. Why are you being mean like that? But yeah, this one is like, it's a giant Gila monster. It's probably some sort of, obviously, radiation, right? Because that's all 50s movies are like radiation. But it's just like a Gila monster, and it's like out in the woods. And they do that classic thing where like, oh no, have you seen so and so? Like nobody has seen them for many days.
Oh no, where could they possibly have been?
And then they go, there we go. There's a picture for you. In glorious black and white.
See?
Magic.
Exactly.
Of Gila Monster Doom.
With the Gila Monster next to literally toy cars.
Yes. It's great.
Oh.
It eats a train at some point, I think. That's pretty cool. Not eats it, but it like destroys some kind of train. That's fun.
Yeah.
Love that.
These are the films people should be watching these days.
I think they're hilarious.
No, they're good.
They're always so funny. I enjoy them just because they are so like silly. And I also wonder when I watch these movies, I wonder like at a drive-in theater in 1959, was anybody like legitimately scared to watch this? That's what I want to know for some of them, right? If you were watching the Monster of Piedras Blancas, right? And you saw this like weird fishman thing. What was it scary? I don't know the answer to this question. I don't know. And it's I don't know. It's interesting to me because like I want to know if people actually were afeared by this kind of stuff, or if it was just like, yeah, you know, whatever. Like, I find it interesting. Because it's some of it you kind of look at and you go, there's no way people could actually be afraid of this. But then you got to remember it's 1959. It's very different, right?
Yeah, I know. But exactly. And going, because I go, well, surely they know that's just like a monitor lizard, right? Like everyone, you can see that, right? But I don't know how many people were exposed to what a monitor lizard or a Gila monster looked like. So maybe see a really big one. Like I don't know. Like I have my exposures because I too have a hard time looking at that and just seeing anything other than, well, obviously that's a lizard. So like, right? Like everyone gets that. But at the same time going, I don't like the 1950s, very different time. A lot of things going on in the world. Like it's sure maybe it was mostly just impressed that was happening at all. I don't know.
Maybe, right? Like, ooh, this is so crazy that they're actually, you know, how did they get that giant Gila monster to stand behind that guy? Could be some of that, an element of that as well. But I definitely find it interesting. Like, if I wonder what it was like to see that kind of stuff for like the first time, you know, like what was it like when you saw that movie? You know, because like scary things have been around forever. Like that's a movie thing that clearly people like it, right? Clearly there's a huge market for it because it's been around since like silent films, like Launchy did those like scary silent movie things, right? Like the Wolfman or whatever, you know. And there's been an evolution of like scary movies throughout the history of cinema. You know, with the classic like MGM like monster movies, like the Bela Lugosi like Dracula, or like the Frankenstein movies with the Boris Karloff ones. You know, they're like hugely popular movies, and then you know weird monster movies like the giant Gila monster. Clearly, there's a market for this. Clearly, there's something about it that people enjoy. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been making it since the history of movies. Like the Nosferatu. That's like one of the first movies ever made. Yeah. And it's a crazy vampire movie.
Well, and maybe that, maybe that really does. Because I mean, it even happens a lot sooner than that. Of, you know, we started off by talking about things like slasher films and how they kind of very quickly become not scary. And so I guess it would be very, very interesting to go in and do a dive into each one of those movies and go, like, culturally, what was going on at this time this movie came out that is what freaked people out. Like, if you would go back and even because like there's the effects that surely you can see through, but what more would there have been there to have, you know, whether it was fears of the unknown or fears of you know, a changing demographic or a changing whatever, or as you know, as you said in the 1950s, like everything radiation. Like if it would tapped into that strong enough, I think it would probably be legitimately scary. And then we look back at it and go, well, I'm not scared of those things anymore. So like, why would it be? Why would you be scared of that at all?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some kind of like, you know, cultural zeitgeist that gets lost in translation when you're watching a movie like that from the 50s. Because you're right, you know, in the 50s, like, to be honest, like, even though it's kind of painted as a time of like, oh, everything was rosy and wonderful, like the reality is like, oh no, everyone was actually afraid of being completely destroyed at any second with nuclear weapons, right? That was kind of like the overarching cultural phenomenon that was occurring for decades, right? So like, you know, people were already kind of scared of stuff, so then if there's a giant Gila monster in the woods who's eaten your friend and wrecked his car, oh no, who could it be? Right? Like, maybe it is more, or maybe it's a release for that fear that you have, and it puts it somewhere else, you know, instead of like an escapism type of situation. You know what I mean? Maybe that's it. Maybe you're taking your fears, just your fears that you have of general, and then you can dump them into this one thing and sort of release somehow through that. Maybe it's like cathartic almost, you know?
Yeah, I think too, cathartic or therapeutic, in a way of being able to see, okay, this is everything that embodies something that I am afraid of. So either facing that or seeing how it's dealt with, or seeing it in an unrealistic light to help you mitigate some of your fears around it. But there are lots of those. I think of in a lot of the films where, whether it's this, they're speaking out against this fear of isolation, or even as basic as like urban sprawl and being spread out and disconnected from people. So it's like trying to use some of these things that you encounter every day to speak to maybe more basic fears of being isolated and alone. And then like, okay, then we're going to set it in an urban sprawl where everything's the same and nobody's connected and nobody knows any neighbors. And then this scary thing happens. And like, so there's what's actually being displayed. Then there's obviously the meta conversation that's going on in the background about it, trying to use, as with all things in media and especially in film, metaphors and speaking in new ways, just to scratch some of those basic fears.
Yeah, I think you're right. And as fear is like a very it's one of the base prevalent emotions that everybody can connect with.
Well, it's very personal
in some way, Yeah. So I think that's probably another reason that so many people enjoy it, right? Just because it is such a deep feeling that everybody can connect with somehow. So perhaps that's another reason where it comes from, people enjoy that.
Yeah, you have good connection with others and some commonality.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Well, there we go. Accidental psychological dissection of the horror movie genre.
This has been good. Yeah. No, for more discourse on just tune in next week.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if there's a transition there into the book chapters that we were to read or not read, but maybe.
I'm sure somewhere, maybe.
Fear.
There's lots of deep emotions happening here. Speaking of deep emotions, it's the Outsiders, ladies and gentlemen. Hey.
Thanks for that. Brandon
found it.
Brandon's transition.
Found it.
Oh, yeah. So this is continuing on our series of the Outsiders. Last we were here, we were just wrapping up chapters 4 and 5. So we're on to 6 and 7 now.
Did I read just 6 and 7? Spoilers for in a minute. Chapter 7 feels like 75 years of book. It's gosh. It's the weirdest.
We were blitzing through these chapters so fast. With 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 was
7 what? Slams you into a wall, and it's the weirdest mid-book exposition dump I've ever encountered. It's what? Where did this chapter come from? What is going on? Again, we'll get to it in a second, but I understand why it's there. It kind of makes sense, but it's also well, your momentum just drops He was like, bleh.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same way, and it really I found myself I'm reading on my phone, but I was just like I was still swiping over to see like how
many is that much is left.
More things is in this thing, and it just it didn't end. So
chapter 7 is the only chapter so far that I have not read in one sitting.
Nice,
because there's a couple in the paper version. There's like those big double space parts between like sections, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I stopped at every single one of those and put it down. I was like, I can't read. This is what the heck is going. I don't like this. This section is so weird.
It was. Yeah. So last we read with chapter 5, we had a rat, we had a mole, we had a spy. There was Cherry, and we hypothesized what could she possibly.
And then we immediately don't find out anything about that.
Nope. Immediately nothing. Just she is.
The beginning of chapter 6 is like, yep, it's true. Anyway, like, okay, well, that's cool. I imagine it might be. Well, I mean, we find out a little bit about it later, right? We get some but just very indirectly from some like other stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Because we hear about what she says to people and all that, but like no direct payoff. It's like, all right. Anyway. What the heck?
Yeah. Oh, and we get, again, because we're dealing with a 14-year-old, Dally's like, man, she sure does hate me. And Dally's like, no, she was afraid of loving you.
Yeah, like, guys, there's some more pressing issues happening right now. Can we focus on that, maybe?
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, and again, this is getting back to. Oh man, this with the moment whenever like all the poetic stuff where it's like, I literally laughed out loud every time I read these kind of sentences where he's like, so Cherry, the cheerleader, the Soch was trying to help us. No, it wasn't Cherry the Soch who was helping us. It was Cherry the dreamer who watched sunsets.
Oh, yeah.
And couldn't stand fights. And I'm like,
yes.
Oh my gosh. Just she's just a person, okay? Like stop with the categories. Like
yeah. Well, it's the major theme of this book is like, the whole like we're not that different deal.
Oh yeah.
And this is just like a random like shoehorning of like, oh hey, remember that? Remember how we're not that blam, like right in your eyeball.
Exactly.
Like,
yes. It's because it was so heavy-handed that was just like, no, not that person. But but again, I think back to the number of times of like a middle schooler or even a high schooler of struggling with with friends and people being like, oh no, that person wouldn't do that, but maybe the other side of them would, or coming to realization that people are not just black and white. They don't just act a certain way and forevermore there they shall act, right? Like it's realizing that there's complexity to people, that they have different motivations depending on their days. And so it's seeing it phrased like this. I can just imagine I have the way I have him say that in my head, but it's like, no, like that's part of understanding the complexity of people is these kind of phrases. No, it wasn't that person. It was the other person that's the same person. But anyway.
I would agree with that. Then next, immediately following that, and all of this like weeks of struggle, Johnny goes, you know what? I think we should just go back and turn ourselves in. You're like, what? Then what? Why did we have all of chapter 5? Why were you standing there for weeks, like staring at bologna sandwiches? Like, what is all this? He kind of goes, yeah, it's not real fair to Pony, and I don't want to lay in this church anymore because I'm cold, so I'm gonna go turn myself in. You're like, that's an abrupt turn, and you could tell that because Dally's even like, what? What?
Yeah.
What the heck, man? You could have saved us a lot of trouble. Yeah, he's kind of mad, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and they And then, we get some humanity here. Johnny just wants to know, did his parents miss him? And Dally is a little hesitant to like, he's angry that Johnny's asking about that at this point.
Yeah.
He's like, obviously no. Like, what are you talking about? Like, no, they don't care. And you can really see of like Johnny going, I've been through so much. There's all this stuff going on. And yet.
Yeah. So he still wants that, and he's still looking for it, even though it's never happening.
No.
So that's also a real thing, looking for acceptance from people that are not going to give it to you ever. But like, that's a whole other deal. It does, it fits with his character, at least. It's definitely not out of character.
No, it's not. It's not. And it's again, him trying to looking for acceptance, and him thinking maybe this is finally the one time, or finally the thing that'll do it. And not even this one. And they continue driving out, and with Dally scolding and Pony being like, nope, not touching that. Nope, we're not.
We're not. Yeah. Anyway,
you're quiet.
So we're just gonna go try to untangle this mess. They've been hiding. They've kind of come. They both don't like life on the run. They've decided, okay, well, Cherry's sticking up for us. Some other people, they might, they'll be able to say this was self-defense. So let's go home. Right, that's kind of where we are.
I will say we have that humanizing moment of Pony realizing that Dally is not all he's cracked up to be. Right, when Dally says, I don't want you to get hardened in jail. I don't want that to happen to you like it happened to me.
Oh yeah.
And Pony realizing like Johnny used to be different. Dally used to be different. Dally's caring for somebody else beyond himself because he realizes his life isn't the way it should be, or it could be better. And again, this theme of striking over and over of people are not set in stone. What you see right now developed over a long time, and there are consequences, right? These are people with a past.
Yeah, because that's what he talks about. He's like, suddenly I could, I suddenly thought of Dally in jail at age 10.
Yeah.
Dally growing up in the streets. Like, not the Dally that he sees before him now, but as he perhaps once was.
And
he started. Yeah. And then he became this person.
Yeah.
So
that's
kind of interesting.
Yeah. And then they round the corner and there's a church on fire.
Yeah. So apparently this part confused me, because the super secret hideout that no one ever goes to is full of children on a school trip. You're like, what? Why? Why are they there? What's going on? From what I understand, this church is like out in the middle of nowhere, like on top of a hill in the woods. And there's a bunch of school children there on some sort of like trip, right? I don't even know if they like
picnic or
a picnic. I don't really understand why you go to creepy church in the wood to have a picnic. Aaron, is that an Oklahoma thing? People do that? Do you go to churches in the wood to have picnics?
You'd be surprised.
Okay.
At least we know. Yeah. So they, Johnny and Pony just bust in and scramble towards the back to get them. And they were all, it was very interesting because they found 4 or 5 little kids about 8 years old or younger. And I'm going, yeah, well, you guys aren't like a whole heck of a lot older than them, but I guess, so it's like kids and kids in this situation.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a big difference between a 14-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Yes,
right?
I know.
So
but yes, in that moment, but like also from the grand perspective here going, again, this is all kids working together here.
Yeah. And that you do get some like, I don't really know. Like, it's interesting that both Johnny and Pony are just like, there's no hesitation. They're just like, boom, they're in there. Johnny's even grinning at the dude, right? and that the teacher who's trying to come with him, and he's like laughing about the fact that he couldn't come into the window.
Yeah.
Because Pony's like, was he too scared? Johnny's like, nah, too fat. And then he like smiles. You're like, wait, what is this? All right, whatever. But they have this like weird, like almost just sort of out of body. Like they don't. It's hard to know. Like, is this? It's kind of another moment of like, is this a glimpse of like who they really are as people? Like their facade is finally dropped. The whole greaser, I'm tough and I'm not scared, is like in this moment of crisis is gone completely. Yeah, and you can see the type of people that they actually are.
Yeah. Pony says, that was the only time I can think of when I saw him without that defeated, suspicious look in his eyes. He looked like he was having the time of his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, where that true nature that's coming out, or their purpose in that moment at least. And you can see, at least when I'm reading this, it's like all of the burdens and things that they were scared about 3 seconds prior to this mean absolutely nothing to them. And all the weight that they have been carrying, as you said, like the facade and all this, that's all gone because they are so literally in the moment right now that it's not affecting even the look on their face or the way they hold their shoulders.
Yeah, exactly. And they go in, they grab the kids, they like fling them out the window, and they're coming out, right? Coming out. Johnny shoves Pony out the window, but then Johnny is stuck inside. Major spoilers. This is like the big turning point in the book so far. Johnny stuck inside the church. Mm-hmm. And so interestingly, you have Pony like wants to go back in for him. Dally gets really mad at him, like punches him in the head so hard it knocks him out, so that Pony won't go in after him. And then Dally goes in after him. So you're like, okay. I mean, I get that you're trying to look after a Pony, but like, you know, you're trying to accomplish the same goals here, apparently. So I don't know why you're fighting him. But yeah, he does that. He decks Pony, the classic, like, you can't stop me. So he like whacks him right in the face. And then,
yes, I can.
He's like, yeah, I can. Punch him in the back of the head, I guess. And then we find out later, after Pony wakes up in the ambulance, that Dally busted in and got Johnny out of there. Mm-hmm. But in so doing, they are both in a bad way, right? They're not great.
Yeah, and Pony's talking with firefighter, just a man.
I think it's isn't it one of the teacher guys?
Teachers?
Isn't it a teacher guy? He's in the ambulance with him. His name's like Jerry or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. And on the way to the ambulance, and Pony's like, I'm going to the, I've done bad stuff, and basically just confesses to basically everything. Everything.
And the guy's like, well, we'll worry about that later.
Yeah, it's like, you'll be fine. Yeah, but it's interesting. Again, of this to Pony, obviously all of his past is very, very important, and it means a lot. It's definition to who he is. And Jerry's just like, yeah, I don't know anything about that. Thanks for saving the kids. You're going to be fine. And Pony's like, we're greasers, though. People don't like greasers.
Oh yeah, I think that's the epitome of that conversation, because he's like, we're greasers, and the guy's like, you're what? Like he has no idea what they're talking about. So that.
I know.
That's like sad and funny kind of all at the same time, right? Because like you have your whole identity is wrapped up in this like one thing, and then like somebody else has no idea what you're talking about. So you can kind of see how unimportant it is to people on the outside.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I don't know what you're talking about, right? You have this like view of yourself, and you're like, oh, I am so important, I'm this thing, and it means the world. And then somebody else sees the same thing and goes, what? Right? That's like mildly defeating as well. It's actually not mildly, it's like soul crushing, because you have this like weird just this huge split, and like the thing that's the most important to you and defines you as a person, somebody else has no idea what you're talking about, and I've never heard of a greaser before. So it's kind of like, wow, okay, that's dang. Like, I think that was the most impactful moment in this whole chapter for me, which is like Pony's whole identity is being this thing, and this dude's like, I've never even heard of that. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know.
Like, wow, okay.
Yeah, so it's a very fast moment, but it's caught up in this discussion of him of Pony trying to say like, no, this is a really big deal. We've done all this stuff and blah blah, and just poor Jerry. You're right, just being like, well, okay, cool. You're gonna be fine, and just like totally blitzes past it because it's not important to him. And it's again it's like to the person, like it's very soul crushing, but again, we're growing here in our space and view of the world, so it's like, yeah, Jerry doesn't care. So not everybody is so concerned about you being a greaser as you think they should be.
Yeah, because Jerry doesn't even know what that is.
Yeah.
It also comes back. So they do that. They go through there. They do all that stuff. The next part, they're in the hospital, right? They're waiting. They're waiting there. And then Jerry, once again, is assaulting Pony's identity because Pony's like trying to smoke like a chimney. And Jerry's like, you shouldn't do that. You're like, I don't know, too young or something. and Pony's like, wait. What?
Yeah.
Because he's like, I started smoking when I was 5. You're like, whoa. What? Oh, no.
Yeah. He literally says, I had never thought about it.
Yeah.
Everyone does. Everyone does. And and it just, exactly. Of like all these little things, I'm not going to say little, but all these things who you are piecing together as part of your identity and like really clinging and holding on to either need some more context or can be assessed. And I think to me, that was this one of like, oh, you mean like I can look at something that I hold dear and decide to change it? That's a new thought. Like, I didn't even know it was possible.
Yes. Like this thing that defines me. Like, it doesn't have to be the thing that defines me if I don't want it to be.
Yeah.
Interesting, right? And then Derry and Soda come, and then there's crying and sadness. And Pony realizes that he was a jerk face and that Derry actually loves him. And they reconcile in the doorway.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of the end of this chapter, right? That's kind of how it ends.
Yeah. That again. He says that he'd lose another person that he loved, like he had lost, like Derry had lost their parents, and this thought had never occurred to Pony.
Yes. Yes.
Again, we're growing in their view of the world.
Yeah.
Here.
I guess so. And then we get to the worst chapter ever.
Man. I don't.
It feels like it's apparently, I'm looking at this in my book, it's 18 pages of just pure slog. And I didn't really enjoy. It wasn't interesting again until like the last like 2 pages.
Yeah.
Right. So like basically, I'm not going to harp on about this too much, but he's home. He's doing his thing. He's just like talking to everybody. And we just get these like massive dumps about people's life. Like all of a sudden it's revealed like, oh yeah, by the way, I love running track. You're like, what? Where did that get? You waited till page 104 to tell me that you're a track athlete that smokes 70 packs of cigarettes a day? What?
Apparently. Yeah. Well, yeah. Because all before this, from page 100 to 104, they're in the hospital and like, just like, I don't know, whatever. And then they decide to leave and go home. And then, yeah.
And then we get the whole like, oh, we make breakfast. This is how we eat. These are our favorite things to eat for breakfast. We love chocolate cake for breakfast. We all like our eggs different ways. And I had never thought, things I never thought about. I had never particularly thought about if somebody asked you how you take your eggs to say sandwich, right? I was not. We all like our eggs done differently. I like them hard. Derry likes them in a bacon and tomato sandwich. And then Soda, for some reason, eats his with grape jelly. So these people are just bizarre humans. I don't know.
I know, like who says I'll have sandwich eggs? Like
how do you take your eggs off a bacon and tomato sandwich? Like, that does sound good, but like that was not. I didn't know that was an option to say. So, in a brief side cut, Aaron, do you like eggs, and how do you like? What's your favorite way to eat them?
Please, sandwich.
Is it in a sandwich?
Well, I don't know if it constitutes as a sandwich. Is when I put I have bread, avocado toast, and I put an egg on frying pan or skillet, and I flip it over and I put that on the bread with the avocado, and then put cheese and sriracha on it. Is that a sandwich?
It's like an open face sandwich.
Those are dope. So, from what little I read of jumping from church to hospital to kind of normal life, I was like, wait, what? Like, this is the one that I truly sat down and read, and then when I did read it, I was like,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, I felt the same way about chapter 7.
So I still am trying to mentally process it, of kind of where things really, leave, and then socials are just guys after all. And it's like, what are you talking about? So I don't know. I read, I skimmed, I briefed. I was like, nah, I can't make sense of it. My head hurts. So
fair enough. Chapter 7 made my head hurt as well. So I cannot fault you for any of those sentences at all.
No.
Before we return, Collin, how do you eat eggs? Or do you eat eggs?
I do eat eggs over easy.
Okay. Nice.
Almost.
Over easy.
Over easy. If I'm ordering eggs, it's over easy.
Okay. Very good. Because you gotta have toast with them, though.
Yes.
Yeah, generally. Usually I just have fried, over easy eggs, mostly.
Nice.
But now I'm gonna say sandwich, right? I'm gonna say
I would might as well.
Yeah.
So there's a weird there's an weird interlay here where some friends coming over, and then Pony is weirdly terse and angry with them for interrupting his morning, I guess, and he's kind of annoyed that they're there. He's like, you would have thought I've been gone 5 years instead of 5 days. And he spills his eggs. I don't know. This was a very weird interaction between him and some people where he was mildly annoyed that his friends were over trying to talk to him because he was busy cleaning and making breakfast.
Yeah. Well, he was trying to I guess he was weirdly trying to make up and be nice for Derry and Soda by not waking them up and making them late for work. I guess that was his plan. I don't really know. I also forgot that Steve was a person, right? So I had to be Steve. Who the heck is Steve? Oh yeah. I forgot he existed. Because he's just a random dude in this story. So Steve comes in, you're like, who the heck is Steve? What? I forgot. So yeah, it's them coming over. There's a whole thing about how the door's never locked because people should just come over. They talk about how they love chocolate milk. They drink some chocolate milk. They're getting ready to go to the work. Pony mentioned something about, again, I should probably quit smoking because I can't run track. You're like, what? And then he says something about a nightmare, and you're like, and Derry's like, what? And so apparently he has nightmares that terrify him, and then that's a big, huge point, and then it's in 2 paragraphs. They're back to talking about something else. So you're like, wait,
it's not a point anymore.
What are you talking about? Why you keep doing it? If that doesn't come back again, I'm gonna be really cross. Like, I don't understand.
Oh yeah, the very last page is like, and I never had that dream again.
Yeah, probably like, dang it. There's like a mystery dream that he like wakes up like screaming, but he doesn't know why.
Oh yeah, right, yeah, and then they're right back to, like you said, like, oh, I've got to go work. Oh, shouldn't you stay home? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Steve, can't you take him? And then they were also worried about, because they have to go to juvenile court, and then has that come up yet?
Yeah, that's just right in this time. He's like, we got to go, and then Two-Bit and Steve are like, oh yeah, well, we'll stay here and babysit, right? It'll be fine. Like,
yeah, and then they go into more like what it means to be like a greaser, right? And they go in. Oh, this is where they go and they go find Randy. Like, don't they go eat or something?
Well, so they go eat. They go and they, let's see. Yeah, they leave. They start talking about stuff. Is it Two-Bit? He tells a weird story about like, not getting mugged in an alley because like they were thugs, but he's also a thug, so they left him alone. Mm-hmm. That was weird. They clean the house. And then they
go to the Tasty Freeze.
The Tasty Freeze, yeah. They go get Cokes.
And cigarettes.
Obviously, because Pony has to smoke like 75 packs a day.
And guess what's trailing them at the Tasty Freeze?
Oh, gasp. It's a blue
Mustang. And that's right, because they're getting ready. Everyone's getting ready for the big rumble, right? That's kind of that comes back up here because Two-Bit's
it's tonight.
It's tonight, right. And yes. Two-Bit's like, hey Randy, nothing before the rumble. Remember, that's what we all agreed. And Randy's like, yeah, we just want to talk. And weird times.
Yes. And so now we have the weirdest part so far in this whole book. Right, I think at least it was slightly more interesting than the rest of the chapter. So there's that. He goes in. He's like, Randy's like, I'm not gonna hear Startle. I just want to talk to the kid, and he wants to talk to Pony. So they go and they sit in his car, and they have a little chat.
Very philosophical.
Yes,
not about like motivations for like why he did it or why Pony saved the kids, and he wouldn't have done that, and well, yes, you would have, because that's the kind of person you are, and not really, because I'm a soc, and then about the like, oh, we're gonna fight and people are gonna get hurt and it's not gonna change anything and we'll forget you won, and then it's not gonna do any good, so I'm just gonna load up my old Mustang and all my money and run away.
Yeah. Yeah. You get some like, well, so this is kind of weird. He's like really distraught. He was Bob's like best friend. Bob is the kid that is dead that Johnny stabbed.
Yep.
So he's all like, he's dead, blah, blah. And he goes on this really long tirade about like how Bob only ever just wanted someone to tell him no, but his parents never would. Right.
Yeah.
He would have just stopped if somebody would have told him no one time. Like, well, I don't know about that. But this is Randy's opinion. Mm-hmm. So he goes through there and he says, he kind of concludes this with, what you're talking about. He's like, so I'd fight if I thought it would do any good. I think I'm going to leave town, take my old Mustang and all the dough I can carry and get out. Pony responds with, well, running away won't help. And Randy says, yeah, I know. But, I don't want to fight because I'm over this nonsense. And if I stay, I will be an outcast among my friends. So I must run. And then he remembers Cherry again. Things are rough all over.
I knew what she meant.
Yes. I knew what she meant now.
Oh man. I love this. Then we get into this kind of like, overly, I don't know, where he says, Randy says, you wouldn't help me. I'm a soc. You get a little money and the whole world hates you. And then the Pony responds with, no, you hate the whole world.
Yes.
Oh man. Oh, so, you're so right. Oh, I hate the world.
Yeah. This whole like really bizarre exchange of just like, oh yeah, we're doing this thing. And Randy's not going to be at the Rumble.
Nope.
And then he gets out of the car, and then that's the part that says, that way you got, what's he say? That way you could tell the other guy was human too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sosas were just guys after all. Things were tough all over, but it was better that way. That way you could tell the other guy was human too. So like,
they've got it rough. I've got it rough. Don't you feel the connection? We're all just like struggling, and it's hard.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I would. Yeah, this chapter was just all over the place, and I didn't. It was such a, I don't know. So far, so this was back to like chapter 1 territory, right? Remember, I didn't like chapter 1. I didn't like this chapter for kind of all the same reasons, right? 2 through 6, we had like a very continuous story arc happening. We had like a very continuous progression. And then like chapter 7, it like breaks. And you just get all this weird stuff. And like, I understand sort of why it's there. Like, we do need it, like in the timeline, like canonically, there is a downtime here because he's out of the hospital.
Yep.
The next big event isn't until tonight, the Rumble, right? Which I assume it's not going to go well. So there is like this day where there's just sort of nothing happening. So we just get to hear about it in the chapter where like nothing happens.
Yeah, you get to hear about cake and eggs.
Yeah, and how 2-Bit doesn't clean the house.
Yeah,
and
about chores. Yeah, and you're
chores.
like, wow, that was a good day for sure.
Yeah.
This one definitely felt like many of these things, because again, I don't see the investment taken into people like Steve or
that's true.
2-Bit.
I forgot Steve existed.
Coming to fruition, coming to like mean anything to have moved this beyond. Again, unless they sit down and they're like, at the end of the story, they're like, and we all made cake for each other, and I never had bad dreams together, and 2-Bit cleaned the house. Like, none of this is getting wrapped up or brought back again.
I mean, we'll see. Again, we have this weird, like, future pony boy telling us all about this story. So there is some level of like, I'm not entirely sure why he's doing it that way.
Yeah.
Who is he talking to in this story? Right.
Sure.
That final revelation might in fact be quite important to a lot of this. It might help explain some of these things that are like bothering me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I hope so.
You have to, I mean, that's kind of a way around it, right? You kind of, that's how he's telling the story, from that, like, talking about the past perspective. So the reason I think some of those details are there, it feels like he's just sort of like, oh yeah, this happened, and this guy's here, and this is all about him, because you need to know about this, because, you know, maybe I haven't told you about him before. You know what I mean? That's kind of,
yeah. You
kind of get like a sense of that a little bit. So who is he talking to? Like, that revelation might be important, I feel like. I don't know who it could be, but whoever it is, I think that will be important. The narration style, I think, will kind of hopefully tie up some of that a little bit, and it will kind of make a little more sense. Maybe. I'm hoping.
You've got a whole lot of hopes and prayers here, dude.
Hey, you know, I'm trying to bring it back somehow. We've still got a few chapters left to find out.
70 pages? Yeah.
We only have 4 left, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because there's only 12.
Yep. So we're busting through them.
Yeah. Look at that.
Doing well. Good. Yeah, I'm interested to see what the payoff is for this chapter. probably not. So that's where I'm going to read chapter 8 and 9 next time.
All right.
And we'll go from there. No, 6 is fine. 7
7 was not.
7's not fine. No, it's not. Standard thing.
So, but again, it's gearing up for more
action.
like something. So maybe there's whatever resolution is going to happen. It only has 4 chapters left. Plus, there's at least one large plot point that is looming on the horizon. So there is intrigue, at least, because I'm betting just the Rumble's not really going to go just super well. It doesn't sound like an event that's just going to be happy fun times for anybody.
Nope.
So we'll have to see. But yeah.
Look, if so, we just slogged through chapter 7. If the Rumble is like at this pace, the Rumble is going to be like literally 7 paragraphs, and then we're going to something else, and I'm going to be so angry. But
it's just going to be him like dealing with the fallout for like
because he's going to get
20 pages
or something, or like something happened, and then like, all these repercussions, and then you got to cut to his day in juvenile court and whatever.
Oh, that's true. We do still have to have juvenile court time.
We still got self-relation.
We have to have some sort of like we hopefully will at least hear from Cherry again. That would be super helpful.
That would be
right?
very nice to know what's going on.
That would be good. We need to know about Johnny and Dally. Like, are they dead? Are they? I mean, I don't feel like Dally's dead. Johnny might be gone, but
right.
Dally's probably not dead.
What's his life look like after that?
Yeah.
And what? Again, lots of things to.
Or they did say a slight plot point that we skipped over in the boring part. They did say Johnny is potentially paralyzed.
Oh, right.
Because like a big giant flaming ceiling beam landed on his back.
And kind of broke.
So.
Yeah, right. They were kind of like talking about how that would impact basically his home life. Now he's at home and he can't leave anymore.
Yes. So Johnny's in a bad way.
Yeah.
Dally probably be fine. He'll be all right. But yeah, we have lots of other characters. We have several other characters that we need to know a resolution for. And so we'll see how this goes. 4 chapters. 4 chapters left to find any resolution. How many times is the word sunset going to be mentioned in these last 4 chapters? That's what I want to know.
It's just all sunset. Look ahead, flip the page. It's just acrostics of sunset with more of the word of sunset.
Perhaps. We'll find out.
Very good. And looking forward to it. And hope you guys have a good rest of your evening.
All right. You as well.
Thank you very much.
You do.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
You do.
Bye.